Welcome to Metals, Money, and Markets for week ending October 20th, 2017. I'm Rob Goodman from Mining Clips, and with me as always to connect the financial dots, Mickey Fulp, the Mercenary Geologist. Well, Mickey, we're 30 years and a day removed from the 87 crash, but anything but that now. Budget resolution could lead to some tax reform, markets flying, gold and all the metals are off. Why don't we start there first where everything is red in the metals?
Well, not everything because copper's up, but all the precious metals are down. Gold's down for the fifth week in six from its high of 1346 on September 8th. It closed this week at 1281, down 1.7%. Silver off 2% to 1701. Platinum off 2.3% to 922. And palladium even lost money this week, down to 963 for a 1.6% loss. But we should also say that palladium briefly touched $1,000 in futures market on Monday. It didn't stay there.
And meanwhile, copper, a good start to the week, but pulled back.
Copper had quite the week on Monday. It surged to 322 for a 3-week high on strong economic data coming out of China. And it basically filled in that gap for the rest of the week, closed up 4 cents to 13.14, although the forward curves flattened somewhat. So that would indicate maybe it's going to hopefully consolidate in this range for a while.
Let's shift over to energy, where not a whole lot going on here, in my opinion, but oil up a little, and we don't talk about uranium.
Yeah, not much going on. Oil has been range bound in this $51 to $52 range for almost a couple of weeks now. It finished up 30 cents to 51.66. There's some geopolitical risk that's kind of put a damper on a what looks like a improving supply demand fundamentals for oil as that continues to balance. I saw an article today about OPEC's Fragile Five and the risk that comes with those, and it's not hard to figure out those countries. I think everybody could probably name 3 or 4 of them that follows the markets. Iran with the nuke deal that Trump is trying to renegotiate, I guess you would say. Iraq with the Kurdish civil war, and they invaded or took over the city of Kirkuk in Kurdistan, which is arguably the center of oil production in the northern part of Kurdistan or Iraq, whichever one you want to consider it. Libya with a civil war ongoing. Nigeria with terrorists bombing facilities, pipelines, port facilities, et cetera, et cetera. And then Venezuela, which is now, because of their infrastructure difficulties, shipping a bunch of dirty oil to the U.S. refiners with dirt and water and all sorts of crap in it. So one of the big oil companies, I think it might have been Chevron, shipped back eight cargo ships full of oil back to Venezuela. So that certainly doesn't help the Venezuelans. On the other hand, rigs were down 15 this week, and that's 36 off its U.S. peak about 10 weeks ago. Uranium did nothing, lost 20 cents to close at 20.25.
And heading over to the currency markets, a big rally for the dollar this week, and the euro and loonie off a little against.
Yeah, the dollar was up. I think that's probably directly connected to the Senate passing the initial iteration, if you will, of the budget bill, and that's going to take the tax. There's going to be some ramifications for the tax cuts in that. Dollar closed up 93.71, up 0.7%. Euro was weaker, not only a stronger dollar, but Draghi is vacillating on the bond buyback in the euro, so we'll see when that happens. I think that's announcement still 2 to 3 weeks away. Loonie lost, started the day at 80 cents and lost 0.8 of a point, and I don't know why that happened. Finished at 0.7921, a little bit more than 79 cents for over a 1% loss.
And heading over to these markets here, we had the trifecta all on record highs, five straight for the Dow, 30 years removed, a long time to look at these numbers, but break it down. These are on fire.
Well, I think anybody that was old enough to remember and was involved in financial markets 30 years ago, and I certainly had a 401k or an IRA, I guess an IRA by that time because I no longer had a real job. But we all remember where we were when this was happening. I was in the squash club in Denver, eating lunch with one of my benefactors involved in the Vancouver Stock Exchange. That said, long time ago, the Dow closed up 2% this week to 23,329. Records all across the board. That's 6 weeks up in a row for the Dow. S&P 500 also up 6 weeks in a row, closed a record 2573, up at 0.8%. And the Nasdaq eked out a record today. It was no one quite knew until the close. Closed at 66.29, up 0.3%. It's on a 4-week roll.
And finishing up with the venture, broke a 3-week winning streak with off a little this week.
Yeah, 4 days in negative territory this week. It's more or less tracking gold at this point. Finished at 790, down almost 1% for the week. Before we leave today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the markets and what's driving them. And I picked up on three numbers today. Since Trump's inauguration on January 20th, 1.1 million jobs have been created in the U.S. We've had a 2.4% increase in wages. That's better than inflation if you believe the CPI. And finally, the S&P 500 up almost 15% for the year. So the man has been very good for markets. We all get a little bit tired of as the Trump world turns, the soap opera that plays out on the mainstream media news, both left and right, every night. But fact is, he's been good for people in business.
Absolutely, and a lot of that deregulation helping, and well, I guess we'll get some info on if he's going to replace Yellen here soon. I'm hearing as well. So
looks like it. She's old and tired and in the way, in my opinion. She's got 6 years in this job or something. It's time for her to go.
100% agree. Okay, Mickey, appreciate the insight. Look forward to catching up with you next week.
All right, thanks a lot, Rob.